Hello and welcome to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference on the Amplifiz podcast channel. Thank you for tuning in for a series of interviews. Today we have Dr. Zubin Daruwalla, a surgeon at NUHS here in Singapore. Dr. Daruwalla or Zubin?
Zubin, yeah.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You did a fantastic keynote earlier today, telling the truth about the expectation you have towards pharma and medtech provider as a practitioner yourself. Why was it important for you to join this kind of event?
First of all, thank you for having me. I think often at events like this, the voice of the patient is not heard, but the voice of clinicians is also often not heard. And for me in particular, it was important because of my background, which is a bit unusual, as you know. My work kind of spans the spectrum of healthcare provision. I've been on the consulting side. I have always been a patient advocate. And so for me, it was important to come and represent the voices of my patients.
So through the afternoon, we had your keynote and the dialogue you had with the patient advocate. I will have her on this fireside chat in a second. But you also then had a series of panel discussion from Pharma and MedTech. If you had to summarize the spirit or what are your takeaways from today and from what we are doing here, what would they be?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I was really pleased to see the warm reception from Pharma and MedTech. They actually weren't put off by the harsh truths that I shared, and I spoke to a number of them afterwards, and they did accept that the relationship between Pharma and MedTech industry and healthcare professionals and patients is important.
Right.
A very collaborative spirit is something I noticed. And I think most importantly, everyone in the room really understood the importance of having to involve the patient more, which I think was the key message.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we have today opportunities with APOS, the Alliance of Patients Organization Singapore, to obviously connect industry folks and patients advocates. Now, if you think of this relationship, fast forward to the next 10 years, for you as a practitioner, for the next generation of practitioners, and for pharma and medtech, what are you the most excited about when it comes to this partnership?
I think the one thing I'm most excited about, and again, I'll be honest here, is the opportunity for all of us to become truly patient-centric. And when I say truly patient-centric, I shared a paper that when I was with PwC that we wrote with NUS. It was patient over product. Talked about patient centricity, this idea. And I think for me, what excites me the most is people accepting that what we believed to be patient centricity actually, in fact, was not. But now the relationships that are being built and the expectations of patients, we can actually put our hand on our heart and say, okay, now we understand what being patient-centric means. Let's actually go and execute that. So that for me is the most exciting thing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining today's conference, for giving the truth that the industry has to hear, and for taking a few minutes of your busy schedule to talk to us.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Zubin. Take care and see you soon.
Take care.
Thank you. Welcome back to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference in Singapore. I'm very, very happy to have with me Tristan Theurier, who is the General Manager of Veeva Commercial here in Asia Pacific. Tristan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thanks for having us.
So tell me a bit more about you and your journey.
Sure. So born and raised in France. That's where I did my studies. I did my business school there as well. I usually talk about my business school because during the business school, I had an exchange program in India, in Kolkata. Okay. And that kind of shaped a bit like who I am. It was a wake-up call and broadened up my perspective as well. And since then, I guess India has a very special place in my heart, I would say.
Nice.
Then started my career in a medtech company. Okay. It was in procurement. But I think I got two early lessons. One is always put the patient first. And the other one is a deep respect for, I would say, compliance and the regulatory requirements. I joined Veeva 12 years ago. So at that time, Veeva was really a startup. But it was about the value proposition was the pharma reps could get a CRM on an iPad and they could synchronize on the Wi-Fi, which was usually at the Starbucks coffee, but that was a big thing. And so I wanted to be part of that journey and kind of that innovation chasm. So that's why I joined Veeva 12 years ago. But the last 10 years were spent in Singapore. So at Veeva, across Asia, I had different roles across APAC, China, Japan. And on the two big things that we do at Veeva, the drug development, supporting the solutions on drug development, and on the drug commercialization.
So why was it important to you, maybe personally, and to your team to join this new Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech conference here in Singapore?
We have our own events, and we think they are important for the industry, but I guess the flip side is we drive the agenda. Well, it's pros and cons, right? You drive the agenda, so it's good. But then also, like, probably for me, that was a good opportunity to get a bit of outside of the box thinking and see also what the industry is thinking about, what the industry is worried about.
Right.
And so when we have this relationship, we try to talk about patients, but probably it was a lot more like patient-centric today. And so that was refreshing to get new ideas as well.
Yeah. And so what is the pulse that you took out of it? What are some of the takeaways you had from today's conference?
I think the big thing is we have a pretty large community in Singapore, but we can still do a lot more, I think, to build that community, right? It's still a bit fragmented. And there are moments where the industry needs to stick together, right? And you kind of briefly mentioned that as well. And I think it's a moment where the industry needs to stick together a bit more.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a moment where we can learn a lot from each other. Like AI is obviously changing a lot of things. We are all learning. And I think it's a bit about like the humility about learning more from each other. And so that's why I think these community events are pretty important.
This is cool. And I'm so thankful that you and your team are participating in this event. Not only you are obviously a flagship partner to the industry since decades, but obviously for this community to exist and to sustain, we need to have partners like you and Veeva who are obviously coming on and bringing great expertise. So thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
When you fast forward to the next couple of years, you talked about AI. Obviously, everybody is excited about this. This was one of the main themes in the conference. We talked about the HCP and the patient journey in the AI era and what it means for pharma, for MedTech guys. From a Veeva perspective, you work very closely with all the leaders in pharma. If you had to do almost the impossible, which is to summarize in few words only, the main part that excites you about the AI innovation in pharma for 2026, what would it be?
Maybe I can share a bit on how we see the vision of Veeva AI, very much.
Sure.
Maybe it's a slightly different angle, but I guess that can help as well.
Let's do it, yeah.
Veeva wants to build the industry cloud for life sciences. So industry cloud, what does that mean? That means software, data as well. So for example, HCP data for better profiling segmentation, and the consulting arm that helps drive the value of software and data. If you think about AI, you need actually, it's not one of the three, right? You probably need the three. So that's the first thing. Now, how we want to do that, a big part is our Vault platform. So the Vault platform is our own technology. What the industry needs really is a place where you can store good data and a place where you can really manage content as well. And ideally have that together. This is the value proposition of Veeva and Vault.
Because Vault is or was originally your content management system, is that right?
It was originally the same way Veeva was originally a CRM company, and that has evolved a lot, right? Actually, there's as much data as content right now on Vault.
Okay.
And Vault is used for things that are very like clinical data. So clinical trials are there where we store the data of the subjects, as well as, like you say, the promotional material.
Right.
So the Vault platform is the industry standard. Now we're bringing AI into the Vault platform, and so that's how we think about Veeva AI. So Veeva AI is the agentic AI into the Vault platform, with agents available for all Vault applications.
So can you give us some examples of what these agents would do or are doing already?
That will be voice control. So that will be just using the phone to actually, for the pharma reps, record the interactions. I met Dr. Guillaume. We talked about that. Please record medical interactions. Please record the new medical insights, and that's there. So we talked a lot about with customers about the UI, etc. But maybe the voice is getting the new UI, right? And so this is not just AI. It's a big shift. That's one. The big one we talk as well is free text. I talk about compliance is sensitive. Do you want to let the pharma reps enter things into the CRM?
Yeah.
If you have AI supporting free text, then and the AI knows the industry norms, the context, etc. AI can say, "Hey, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to enter that?" And actually, will block until the person is rephrasing the notes. And so that could look like as a compliance thing, but actually we move from limiting the insights because of technology to unlocking actually the quality of the interactions and what you can share with the doctors. And so that's unlocking actually a lot of the potential.
What is the maturity of your customers right now for AI? Are they still in the pilot phase, dipping your toe in the water or hardly doing that, or they are actually very much advanced into, deeper rollout?
We have a large spectrum from hey, we try something and it fails. I think we have also the opportunity in the region to take a lot of innovation, right? And that's kind of also how we pitch that to our customers and maybe more the multinational companies is Asia is the right place to try things, actually. I think about Australia, I think about certain markets that are also very digital aware, say, hey, you have great places in Asia where we can try, and then if that works, then you deploy at scale, right? Mm-hmm. So I think maybe more than trying to give you a pulse of Asia, which is probably a bit of finger in the air, I think that's more like what we try to do is hey, that no matter where you are, you have a chair at the table and you can do a lot within your company as well. And we can help you with that.
Awesome. So exciting. Your space is moving very fast. Thank you so much, Tristan, for supporting us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you also to be my guest on this quick fireside chat.
Pleasure.
I'm gonna leave you to a glass of wine and some good chats with your clients.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tristan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech conference. I'm very happy to have Nidhi Swarup. Nidhi, you are the founding chair of APOS,
yes.
Alliance of Patients Organization Singapore.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about what is APOS mission, first of all.
We are here to inspire change. Basically, we are trying to bring all stakeholders together so that patient organizations are able to do more that will be more meaningful for the entire ecosystem. Because generally what happens with every patient organization is we would focus inward, meaning we are focusing on our patients, how we can support them, the caregivers, the family members. They need a lot of help. So generally patient organizations would organize activities to support and then do some fundraising and educational material is developed. It's literally very limited. There's a little bit of public awareness campaign and a lot of focus inward.
Right.
Whereas through APOS, what we are trying to do is bring all these organizations together, then introduce them and kind of facilitate the conversation with the other stakeholders. Because all of us need a better journey for the patient.
Thank you so much for what you do. And this is very inspiring to see you, being brave and building this from the ground up. Why was it important for you to join this conference today?
Oh, wow. Because, if I can be very blunt, I realize that MedTech is the one stakeholder that is not engaging patients. If I just use my own example, I've been involved with the Ministry of Health at a few different committees, like the National Pharmacy Strategy Advisory Committee. I've been on the fee benchmark committee that sets the guidelines or the benchmark for private practitioners. how much they can charge, those kind of billing issues. I've been on the AI governance for healthcare kind of committee. So there's the regulatory space, there's the policy making space. HTA in Singapore has ACE, the Agency for Care Effectiveness, that does the HTA process. So there's a consumer engagement and education panel. So I'm serving on that also. When it comes to policymakers and regulators, they have been doing this for easily 4 to 6 years. Similarly, hospitals have been engaging patients to improve their services. Pharma companies are a little hesitant. They engage patient organizations more on an ad hoc basis.
On an annual basis?
Ad hoc.
Ad hoc basis.
Ad hoc basis. So it's not like they start with engaging a patient on what their unmet needs are, or the journey of taking medicines and the impact of those medicines, or looking at the real world evidence from the patient's perspective. Right. So there are certain gaps, and that's where I felt coming today was important. And in that whole spectrum of stakeholders, I would say MedTech seems to be the last. I haven't come across any MedTech company that has engaged patients so far.
This is this is crazy.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I mean, today we have more or less half between pharma and medtech professionals. We have, I don't want to name them now, but we have all the big medtech who are right there behind us. So I think you and your team will have an opportunity to establish some of these connections. And I think, I mean, hearing your story and the complexity of the ecosystem you have to navigate, a lot of fragmented bits and pieces here and there, putting this together is not an easy task. Yeah.
I think even when it comes to, let's say, researchers, right. I did highlight earlier that many times doctors are limited to what they can do because science has only advanced that much. Right? So if I talk about the holistic care, that look at all the comorbidities a patient is facing, the doctor can only do so much because science has been working in silos.
Right.
Yeah? They look at the digestive tract, they look at the respiratory tract. But if one patient comes with 2 different issues, we are sent to this doctor and that doctor, but not holistically.
Yeah.
And that is where then we collaborate with researchers trying to bring this need across. That please, can you optimize our care? Professor Lara Bloom, I would quote her. She is the CEO now, or the chairperson of the International Alliance of Patients Organizations. And it's very beautifully putting this point across, which says a person is a patient only in front of a doctor. It says it all.
Yes.
We need to think of people beyond that setup or that conversation, that when I go back home, I am still a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter-in-law, I'm working, I'm doing certain things.
Right.
So how does this illness impact the rest of my life?
Yeah.
I need to be as normal as possible to be able to do all these things. So there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
That's why it's important
to
bring such messages across.
What are some of the main expectations you have towards pharma or medtech, especially? You talk about medtech being less visible.
Yes, I would expect these companies to approach APOS. They could write to us at hello@apos.sg. That's my email. Okay, just write to us, and then we can have a conversation. Because again, I am mindful that medical devices could be targeted at clinicians, and they could be targeted at consumers.
Right.
Right. So I'm not saying that every space we need to be involved. So the company can decide which can be the one where we can play a more valuable role.
Yeah.
So we could partner in that journey, maybe bring out certain existing devices where there's feedback patients can give. So that could be a starting point for innovation.
Yeah.
Or if they're thinking of innovating in a certain space, let's have conversations. Yeah, we can start with that and then journey along. So a consistent interaction would be very meaningful.
Yeah.
To even test out the idea, moving to prototype, and then real world evidence or trials.
Yeah.
Even that whole thing for devices is easily doable. Similarly, when it comes to pharma, there could be an advisory panel that can be created in advance and then think about the design of whatever the new product is, because there could be choices that are created for patients.
Right.
Some people prefer tablet form, another one likes an injection, and I don't know what other things, maybe a syrup.
Sure.
Yeah, so different options can be worked out with the consumer in mind, and naturally it will lead to greater success.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for being here today, for giving a very inspiring talk, and thank you for everything you do with APOS.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you so much.
Take care. Yeah.
Welcome back to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference. Very happy to have Jean-Louis Cadart, co-founder of Wegrow here in Asia Pacific. Jean-Louis, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Very good. Thanks for having me. I had a very good time at this event.
Thank you. So tell me a bit more about you and your business.
So we are a French company. We started 4 years ago, and we focus on something that is not very fashionable, but essential for large organizations, which is the best practices, right? And so we help large organizations to share and scale best practices, regardless of the population. But most of our clients are going to ask us to focus on marketing, sales, operation.
So you have a platform, a tool that helps this best practice sharing.
Yes.
And very relevant to large enterprise. Why was it important for you and Wegrow to join us today at this conference?
So 20% of our clients are from healthcare and pharma.
Right.
I don't know if I should mention them, but so I won't. But so that's why I wanted to understand the trend and as well what our clients are looking for,
right,
in order to make sure we infuse that in the future into our solution.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about how your solution works.
Okay, so when we start with a client, we're going to sit down together. We're going to define the use case of this specific population.
Right.
And you can have two marketing teams from two healthcare companies. The use case are going to be very different. Mm-hmm. So all of our platforms are super different. We define the use case. We infuse all of that inside the platform. Like that, the sharing is very intuitive. Like I'm a marketer, I want to share about my activation. I have some choice to make in my selection, and I'm going to share information that's going to be standardized and documented. And the idea, we want this information to potentially be sent at the other part of the world in order to be reused. So that's going to be the first pillar of what we do as Wegrow, is to make it clean in terms of data and to make it useful for someone else.
Right.
The second one, we're going to provide the animation plan. You can have the best tool in the world. If you don't have someone to make it engaging, you're going to have a low level of engagement. FYI, SharePoint is 3% of active participation, and it's our benchmark. And so we provide, when we start a project with a new company, an engagement plan. We define together what is the picture of success we are looking at.
Right.
And so the good thing is when you bring that to a company, quality of sharing and high level of engagement for one population or one department, after you're going to have like other departments say, me too, I want to have like quality sharing and high level of engagement.
Yeah. You know what is funny is that what Wegrow business stands on is actually something I also try to use myself for this conference. I really believe in this logic of peer-to-peer sharing and try to also create a healthy competition within the industry, right?
Yeah.
We are all working for the greater good of patients and helping doctors, but connecting these people, giving them a platform to meet is also an opportunity for us to to push them a little bit and say, hey, you see what the other guys are doing and so on.
Yeah.
But you do it within one enterprise, saying this is what's happening in APAC.
Yeah.
US should do it, or vice versa, and you can, through Wegrow platform, you can really show the measurable of the impact you create.
Yeah. On top of it, we have the CSM, the Client Success Manager. So if you tell us, I want to have a specific newsletter for LATAM, I want to have a specific communication for US, I need an award in Asia, we have countries who are not sharing enough, let's stimulate them with an award. We provide this thing as well. And that is, to me, the real added value of the solution.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of the takeaways from the conference, from the networking that has happened so far?
Okay, but first of all, the takeaway is Singapore is a great place to network. Like I love the level of seniority that you brought today in such a large quantity. And for me, the takeaway, data is super important. Quality of the data is going to drive your insights. Insight is going to potentially drive your prediction. And having the data right, to me, is something that we have to be very focused on. Patients, they are looking not for generic answer anymore. They are well documented. They can inform themselves quickly. So we need to come on the phone. The professional needs to come with a contextual way of answering. And that to me was a very good takeaway. And after, what I could get, and it's pretty linked to what we do, like you can not only rely on a static information or intranet in order to get the information. You want to embrace the collective intelligence, to plug the AI inside of that, and to quickly and accurately get an information that's going to be in a way conversational. And it's how you can improve your CX, and it's the level that is expected now.
Jean-Louis, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for supporting the conference, and well, good luck to you. Have a wonderful evening.
Amazing.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Welcome back to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference. Sylvain, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So you are in charge of digital marketing and CX, so customer experience, for Southeast Asia and Taiwan.
Correct.
For KARL STORZ.
Yep.
So tell me a bit more about KARL STORZ. Tell me a bit more about what you do and why it was important for you to join today.
KARL STORZ just celebrated this year the 80 years old anniversary. So family-owned business, around 10,000 people. Originally coming from endoscopy device, so minimal invasive surgery. And right now moving into something a little bit more holistic, incorporating AI and even robotic device. So we are investing really in the future for the end-to-end customer journey that encompass surgery, supporting the surgeon during the surgery with AI, and also assisting the surgeon with robots.
Pretty cool. So why was it important for you as a digital marketing professional, as a CX expert in MedTech, to join this conference?
But first, to see that I'm not alone. We are all in the same boat. We are in the same trouble, I would say, because the CX, it seems to be a common problem, good problem, but everyone is trying to find a solution. And I really believe that through the AI era, it can be something that is really helping us to scale the faster way, how to deal with the customer needs, really understanding them and providing them with a high level of customization and personalization.
Right. When you think of the future and what is exciting for you in your space, what would be 2026 looking like?
So 2026 will be looking like more business insight, because we really want to leverage on the data to support our different business across the entire region and the countries through all the data that we have in our CRM. And then working as well with all the stakeholders that are involved in the customer journey, because I think one of the points mentioned at the beginning was how we can bridge and link the different stakeholders, regulatory, medical affairs, operations, sales and marketing team working together in the same customer journey. It's not easy. So we really want to bridge that, and using AI as well to generate more and more content that will support that journey.
So when you look at the room, the people you meet now during the cocktail and so on, how would you evaluate the overall maturity of our region when it comes to AI adoption? Is it still a buzzword, or people are already embracing it? What do you think?
I'm not saying it's a buzzword because I think everyone knows what is AI. It's more baby step. There is two different ways to address it. First one is more like we know what it is. Maybe we are a little bit scared of it because we don't know how it's going to turn out in the organization,
Right.
and we don't know how to use it. Second is maybe we are using it, but the foundation, the backbone on how to use it in the best manner is not there yet. So I think it's a half-baked, half-cooked product for now, but definitely there is interest, and it will grow, as mentioned, at the baby step level. But first, we probably need to have more literacy, not necessarily with AI, but first starting with data literacy to understand how this data can be used and how it works, and then using this data to feed our AI content. Because like you say, AI was not invented before us. We invented AI, and they are using our data that were generated to give us the insight that we're expecting.
Right. So you have been participating in quite a number of smaller scale networking events over the last 18 months or so now. This is the 10th time that we're organizing an event, but the first time that we're organizing a bigger conference. Why is it important for you as a busy professional, as a husband, as a father, as someone who has a lot going on, to invest some time in this kind of activities as well?
Because I think we don't have such opportunities. I don't think I never seen any other network like that in the past. Secondly, it's a very genuine network. I like the fact that we are not going there because someone has to sell us something. Right. It's more really professional that are meeting. We are all having the same challenges or having the same roadmap or direction. And I think it's interesting to share all together what we are planning to do, listening, learning, sharing best practices. And I think make this community growing bigger and bigger, and for the best outcome for the healthcare professional, and that will contribute to a better patient outcome in the end. So contribute for a better society, and hopefully contribute for a better healthcare, generally speaking.
Yeah. And what would you say to the professionals like yourself who are too busy to attend?
When we have the smaller network, because like you mentioned, there is this big event, but usually there is a monthly event, which takes 2 hours of your time. To be honest, 2 hours, you can probably find out in your busy agenda that you can meet, I would say, genuine people, people that are alike, meaning working in the same industry, and it's very easy to mingle. Like I say, no business interest behind. It's purely to create connection, and I make friends out of this network as well. We have more interaction, and to be honest, to me, it's my only and solely network I have in Singapore, and I really praise it to be growing and continuing.
Yeah, cool. Sylvain, thank you so much for accepting to come on the show. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being an active ambassador to this Pharma and MedTech community in Singapore. And hope to have you soon on the show again.
Sure. Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very happy to have Dianne Baunbaek from J&J, Johnson & Johnson. Good day to you, Dianne. How are you?
I'm good. I love this event. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, what a start you offer me. Thank you so much. So tell us more about you and what you do at Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, so I am a precision medicine lead at Johnson & Johnson. So looking at the diagnostics and molecular testing market. And I've been doing that for a year in Asia Pacific.
Okay. Before Singapore and before APAC, where were you?
I was in Amsterdam working for the Dutch operating company at J&J.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because I thought that, Europe was very scattered and fragmented until I came here, and I stand corrected.
Hello. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that there's a higher unmet need,
Right.
because there's a lot of out-of-pocket or self-pay. I'm talking about testing, but also about treatment.
Right.
So I think there's even more of a need, because talking about equity, health equity,
Right.
it's very separated here. Who can afford the best,
It is.
testing and the best treatment? So we have to do something.
Yeah. And how do you do this? Because here from Singapore, we are obviously connecting with our peers based here. Most of them have a regional role like you. Some of them have a global role or local. Then we have patients who are represented tonight with also physicians. But obviously, this is one market, Singapore on its own, while you have an APAC role. And as you said, this is not one reality. It's very, very diverse market. So how do you engage with these patient groups? What can the industry at large do better, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that it was also said during the talks, right, that we need to focus more on the patient.
Right.
We started with the patient need or on the unmet need, right? And then there was the perspective of the patient, and it's really like having that implementation truly, because we always talk about the patient, but is that really true? And so I think we need to start co-creating with them and really partnering and understanding what they need.
Yeah. And at J&J, how do you embrace this? How do you apply this?
Well, we have it in our credo. So, we have some very powerful words that we go by. And really the first one is the patient. But you only bring that alive, it's just words on a page. But we really try to include the patient perspective. And we have a patient engagement team. But I have an example where I set up a medical education event, and we had a patient representative amongst the other doctors to bring in that perspective, because only together we will achieve change.
And this is what I realize doing these events at our scale, even though here it's a different use case, of course, but the power of connecting different people, different walks of life, different experiences, and throw them into the pool together. There's so much that comes out of it for all of us, and this is what we are humbly trying to do here. So you started with a pretty powerful statement about the fun day that you had. Why was it important for you to attend as a professional?
Well, I think it's always good to learn about AI and have it on a more tangible scale, because everybody talks about AI as a buzzword. Like, this was really tangible,
right?
And a tool that we need to start implementing, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's also great that you connect so many people from the private sector and, doctors and patients, because it's not very often you have this cross industry sharing.
Right.
And what you hear from all the speakers is we have so many commonalities, and it feels like we're reinventing the bike in all our different companies, right? So how can we share what is going well, what are things that could be improved, and how do we tackle it together? And I think this is the first step, right? Sharing.
It is, yeah, indeed. And sharing here as well, because obviously we're going to have a lot of folks watching this. When you look at 2026, thinking of J&J or thinking about the industry at large, AI being the big topic for today, what are some of the use cases that you are interested in your space specifically for AI?
It's quite interesting, because what they were talking about today, right, with AI, it's like an old technology, right? And now it came alive with a natural language processing and, the big data. Mm-hmm. It's the same with precision medicine. So we have biomarkers. We don't know the significance of biomarkers. There's increasing evidence. And as soon as you have more evidence, you can act, right? And then you get medications that target a specific biomarker.
Right.
So I think it's quite interesting to hear about how different technologies are evolving.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be using AI much more to help myself in the job.
Yeah,
I just wanted to give you kudos. It's a great event.
Oh.
And I hope that you'll have another one soon.
I hope. Thank you so much, Dianne, for coming on the show, for coming today at the conference. And
Pleasure.
I hope you're going to have a good evening as well after an insightful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to a new round of Fireside Chat here at the Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech conference in Singapore. I'm very, very happy to have one of our speakers with me, Andrés, Walde from Novo Nordisk. Andrés, thank you so much for participating in the event. You have been doing a fantastic job on stage, and I'm glad to have you here next to me right now.
On the contrary, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been my pleasure.
Tell us a bit more about what you do and your role at Novo Nordisk.
Sure. So I'm a commercial leader. I would say that I have three main areas of responsibility. First one is to architect a commercial blueprint. So thinking about what is our go-to-market model, then building the commercial engine that is all about the bridge between that strategy and making things happen in the day-to-day and ensuring that we're moving in the right direction. And finally, it's all about building high-performing teams.
Wow, that's you're a busy man. Okay.
I'm a busy man.
That's why we appreciate that you take the time to come to this kind of events, because not everybody does. And I think it's important that despite our very busy schedule, we invest some time for ourselves and for development, and meeting peers, learning
Absolutely.
from them is very important. So what are some of the takeaways you have from today?
So we've been discussing a lot about velocity of change. How do we incorporate all these new tools that we have at hand? I think in one headline, or my key takeaway around all this, is that it's not about just implementing some new capabilities. Those are fine, but it's more about not losing the intent in the way. It's very easy that through all these new ideas, we get lost in what are we going to do next, what's the pilot, how do we incorporate these new ways of working, how do we upscale the people. But asking ourselves all the time, to what end are we doing this? And to make sure that we have very tangible day-to-day improvements. I think that's the key takeaway after hearing so many clever people talking about all these different things.
So to have clarity on this intent, especially when you are part of a multinational organization, communication is everything. If we are not able to be understood and to share with our peers, team members, and organization at large, what is the vision, why we do what we do, why is it important, and so on, nothing takes place. Would you agree? I see you nodding.
I agree definitely. And to add on that, I think that the best pair for an effective communication is a flexible architecture. So when you're thinking about this change and you think about communication, you're thinking about ensuring that everyone is aligned, that everyone has the right mindset or the right predisposition. But what do we put in the context to ensure that there is a seamless experience of the employee through all that change and transformation? That's where flexible architecture comes. And the flexible architecture is the number one enabler for speed. So if you're very, very deliberate in the way in which you architect the whole commercial process, then you can easily integrate new ways of thinking. But the other way around doesn't work. If you just integrate new ways of working, new capabilities, new ways of thinking, you just create disruption in the organization and people is lost.
This is fascinating to hear you on this. I'm just curious, how much of your time on a weekly basis, for example, is spent communicating versus doing?
It's a good balance, and it is difficult, because while gaining the minds and hearts of the people is very important, and even more in a role like the one in which I'm sitting right now, that is like the mission is to evolve the organization from what you could say a traditional customer model into digital and into data-based commercial models. You really need to strike a good balance, because on the one hand, it is very important to make sure that everyone is on board on the journey. It's also very important to make sure that you do not remain on the hype and the ivory tower, of change, but that you're actually delivering tangible value to the business and not as a promise, not as please let me do and you will see how in 2 years' time this will pay back, right? That's the lazy way of thinking about it. It's about, hey, let me show you how by integrating digital and data in the day-to-day, I can make things happen now. And that's the sweet spot that is very difficult for this type of functions, because you need to strike the right balance between transformation ambition, but at the same time very grounded in the reality and in the execution.
Absolutely. And that creates you prove accountability, you prove result, and by this you hope to create a snowball effect.
A virtuous cycle. That it's the only way in which this is going to work, because people is tired of listening either about change or about promises. We've been talking about change in the pharmaceutical industry for very long. It was like we were into COVID and we heard that in-person was dead and digital was going to be the new reality. Guess what? It didn't happen. It is a hybrid reality. And the sweet spot is in that transition about how you make that happen in the day-to-day, how you ingrain hybrid ways of working that add value to the business and at the same time help us move the needle into the future of customer engagement.
This is fantastic. Look, Andrés, it's fantastic and really inspiring to hear you. Tell me about why was it important for you as a professional to attend this kind of conference?
First of all, I think it's always good to listen to different perspectives. And here in the conference, we have very different perspectives. You had the HCP part of things, you had the patient side of things, we had the pharma side of things, the medtech side of things. So it opens up the mind, right? The second one is because we're all on the same boat, right? So when I talk with my colleagues, we're all exploring similar courses of action. And while I would say the courses of action are clear, you talk about AI, and for example, to take Fieldan as an example, all the companies are working in next best action projects. How can you synthesize field insights and create a closed loop with marketing? The secret sauce is in the how. Since we are all doing it, we can all learn from our journeys, our trials, our mistakes, and that that big perspective, ample perspective, cross-functional perspective across all the stakeholders and people who is trying the same thing. It's really
value to you. Amazing. Thank you so much, Andrés, for coming on the conference to give such a great talk during your panel, and also for being my guest here. Very inspiring to have you. Thank you for being part of this community, and hope to have you soon. Thank you.
Country, as I said, big pleasure.
Thank you, Andrés. Thanks a lot. Welcome back to a new section of our fireside chat here at Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech conference. I am very happy to have Emma from On24 with me. Emma, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to attend the conference, obviously to also sit here with me. So tell us a bit more about On24, about what you do.
So On24 is a digital engagement platform, and we help our customers engage in intelligent ways with their HCP audience, pulling first-party data of those interactions from HCPs and helping our customers understand more about the intent of the HCPs, where they are in their customer journey, and then taking that data and integrating that into the technology stack.
Okay. So that was extremely relevant for you to participate, because today the conference was about the HCP and the patient journey in the AI era. What are some of the takeaways you had from, not just from the conference, but the entire experience? Anything that stands out?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've spoken to really love the community style of this type of event. And I think having relevant content like today, talking about like AI personalization, where marketers and people within those organizations are really looking forward to for more of an omni-channel approach, making sure that it's relevant, making sure they understand what the audiences want to be able to see in terms of content.
Yeah.
I think bringing these ideas together and having like open discussion around, you know, what are other companies doing, where are other people going with that kind of technology. I think it's really important that everyone comes together for this type of event.
Awesome. And On24 is relevant for marketing teams in pharma or in medtech.
Yes.
I would assume that when we talk about HCP engagement, we could argue that it's also relevant for medical education or medical affair functions. Is that right? Do I get this right?
Definitely. So what we're seeing is a lot of med affairs business units using On24 because you're wanting to gather kind of HCPs from all over the world or KOLs to discuss different drugs and how they're prescribing those, and getting all those people into one room when the world now is so global. Having a way to do that digitally is really important for med affair teams.
Yeah. So obviously the topic that was in the air all afternoon was AI. Everybody's excited about AI and the thousands and thousands, or if not millions, of flavors that AI can have in our industry. In your world, in the On24 world, what AI means and what it means for your clients, for your pharma and medtech?
The platform itself does a few different things around AI. One is recommending content. The other one is doing segmentation around, let's say, a specific webinar. So you could have one broad webinar that's going to be shown to a lot of different audiences. Based on registration data, they might see different content for them to download, whether they're a surgeon or a nurse or a GP. And you can actually set like survey questions that are relevant to their specific role. So what we're finding is when you have a more personalized experience, you're going to have a better interaction because you're actually speaking to the audience. So that's one part of it. And then one side of the platform that we've seen heavily being used over the last 2 years since it was launched, and we keep innovating within that, is creating modular content using AI to then help teams gain efficiencies to get content out to market faster across multi-channel. So that are the key areas where we're using AI. And the other thing that we're doing is synthesized AI. So I can be presenting in English for a semi-live or on demand, and someone in Korea can decide that they're in Korea, and I will start speaking in Korean in my tone of voice. So yeah, we've got a lot of innovations coming up.
So that is doable on a simu-live webinar. So we give the webcast, we give the impression it's a live event, but
pre-recorded.
All right.
Yes.
Or on demand.
Or on demand.
Wow.
Yeah, not live yet. That's
live
coming.
Yet. That's going to be the next future release, maybe.
Exactly. So we got a lot of exciting things happening, and making a lot of our customers really excited as well.
So On24 is a global organization. Obviously, you are supporting pharma, medtech, and other sectors across the world.
Yes.
We are here in Asia Pacific, in Singapore, where we have a lot of regional headquarters of big pharma, big medtech as well.
Yes.
How do you see the dynamic of the Asia Pac market, or the adoption of these digital channels in the region compared to Europe or the US or other regions?
I mean, I think here it's very fragmented, right? So we look at how many markets there actually are, and then we've got the regional roles, we've got in-market teams as well. So I really think for making a change in this region, there really needs to be a center of excellence that's making that change. So how are they going to standardize platforms? What data are they looking for? What does the overall tech stack look like? And where do platforms like On24 fit into that stack? So I think there's changes that need to happen, but there's a lot of complexity. And there's a lot of people that we need to talk to help make that change happen. So really, I think it's the leaders that really want to make those changes within the organizations that are going to be able to drive the region because it is so diverse.
And you being here in this conference and in this networking now is you have a lot of these people here, so it's good that you can.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of old faces and new faces as well, and people. I've been around in this org for about 5 years, so there's some people that I've met over the years, and they're still around, and they've moved to different organizations, and they've got new roles, and their roles are now changing. The way that they're engaging with their audiences. Yeah. So really, idea about being here is being present, being visible, being part of the conversation, and then of course supporting customers where they need that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma, for taking the time, for
Thanks for
joining
having me.
us, and welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for coming. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Today we were very happy to create a lot of valuable content and offer some valuable experiences to a lot of pharma and medtech professionals here in Singapore. We look forward to doing more of these events in the future. We believe in a strong community of pharma and medtech professionals coming together with HCPs, with patients. This is only together that we can shape the future of our industry. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support you are offering to our channel, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Amplifiz Pharma and MedTech Conference Singapore.